There are so many different vortex locations here. Some are well known, some a lot of people go to, but there's so many vortex sites out in the outback that people are unaware of. I do a lot of my recording in the outback. My point I'm trying to make is, let's hypothetically say there are 50 different vortex locations, and that's underestimating it.
Super
understating it. They're all emitting energy, and they all combine into one big magnetic energy field, a big bubble of it. If you look at the U.S. Geological Geomagnetic Survey of the United States, their scale for magnetic activity goes up to 400. Sedona is off the charts, but it's the entire Sedona area. So you'll have independent locations where vortex energy is, inflowing and outflowing, and they're all over the Sedona area. They all combine. That's my point. So you have one great big bubble.
So it's like an
energy.
It's an accumulation, like a contained huge geomagnetic field that's all being fed into by the different vortices.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. You said in some footage I took of you years ago that being in an energy vortex is like taking a shower for your mind.
Yeah.
And I'd like to take it a step further. I think it's also a shower for your heart and your soul. Just your entire being. You're cleansing your entire being.
Yep, I agree. What a lot of people don't realize, and I don't want to get too technical here, we look at our bodies, and what people don't realize, we function based on our five senses: taste, smell, hearing, etc., sight. We are also electromagnetic beings. Our brain functions. We have neurotransmitters, neuroreceptors. Between a neurotransmitter and a neuroreceptor is a fiber called an axon. That's how our brain communicates. Whenever you have, the neurotransmitter will send electricity through the axon like a piece of wire to the neuroreceptor, and whenever you, like a wire, whenever you have electricity flowing through a wire, a current is produced, and that current produces a magnetic field. Now, you have billions of neurotransmitters and neuroreceptors in your brain that are being subjected to the magnetic energy of inflowing vortex places up here and outflowing. So,
and electrical.
And electrical. There's electrical activity up here too, because Sedona is loaded with a lot of what's called magnetite. Magnetite is a magnetic rock. It also has electricity flowing through it. There's a lot of magnetite up here, and there's also quartz. Quartz crystals embedded in the rock, the red rock itself, that are generating their own electricity due to piezoelectric effect. And when that electricity is generated, current is flowing, which creates more magnetism. So you have electricity at work, you have intense magnetism at work that's interacting with your brain. Science has even discovered, due to all of the magnetic energy produced by our brain functioning, we actually have a cloud of magnetic energy that surrounds our head. And they've measured it. I did 2 years ago. I had a device for doing that. And that cloud itself, some scientists are speculating that cloud contains what we call consciousness. So you have different experiences up here in inflowing and outflowing vortexes. That energy, the consciousness energy is actually magnetic, and they've measured it. So here you are, you have your consciousness being affected by Sedona's magnetic energy, inflowing, outflowing vortexes, because they are magnetic in nature. Yes, there's also electrical here, but the dominant force, in my opinion, after 24 years of doing this, The magnetic energy is directly acting with the magnetic cloud surrounding our head, which is very, very possibly what we call our consciousness. So you have your consciousness altered here. That's why so many people that come here just love it, and everybody has an experience because it's a natural interaction. Now, another thing too with humans, we have biological magnetite in our bodies. It looks like a string of little balls. They're microscopic in our body's tissue, and that magnetite is also interacting with our planet's magnetic field and interacting with the magnetic inflows and outflow energy up here in Sedona. So I had a friend of mine that was the lead engineer for GE Medical Systems. In fact, he was one of the creators of the very first MRI scanning device. And he found through his research, in people's inner ear fluid, humans have concentrations of the mineral magnetite again, which is a magnetic substance, and it also produces electricity. So he also discovered women have an 80% higher concentration of magnetite in their inner ear fluid versus men. Well, if you look back in history, it's always been well known that women are more intuitive, they're more in tune with the planet, they're more in tune with a lot of things, some of them to the point they got burned at the stake as a witch. So women have been persecuted, but it's been something they were born with. It's natural. That does not mean men cannot interact with the energy that's here in Sedona. They might have to work a little bit harder at it. It's just easier for women. And that's why women have the tendency to be psychic and have these abilities and that abilities.
Women's intuition.
They have higher concentrations of magnetite in their inner ear fluid. Now, how does that work? Magnetite's magnetic. It also produces an electrical charge. So when that magnetite in the inner ear fluid is exposed to another magnetic field like Bell Rock, the magnetite crystals in the inner ear fluid produce electrical impulses that couple directly up into the brain, just like our hearing works. We have the eardrum, mechanical vibration. That makes little bones behind attached to the eardrum vibrate. Those bones vibrating produce an electrical impulse signal that goes up into our brain, and our brain processes that as hearing. Well, the same thing can happen if you have electrical energy or magnetic energy stimulating the magnetite in our inner ear fluid. The magnetite's producing electrical impulses that go up into the brain. So I'll put it simply, I'll try to. We have two types of hearing. We have electromagnetic hearing direct into the brain, and we also have our standard normal hearing, which is mechanical vibration of the eardrum vibrating the bones attached to it, and they in turn send an electrical signal up into the brain for the brain to process.
The electromagnetic activity in vortex locations, it does affect us in our inner ear fluid, the magnetite that's there, but as well, it's also affecting the magnetite in our brains. We have it in our brains.
It directly couples right into the brain. It could couple in through the magnetic cloud surrounding our head. It can couple directly into the brain through biological magnetite. There's a number of things that could be happening. It's going to require a lot of research to find out definitively which one.
And in addition to that, our entire nervous system is electromagnetic.
Yes.
That's the way it functions.
Yes.
So our entire nervous system, which goes throughout basically our whole bodies, it's going to be responding to the vortex effect. So it's not just our magnetite in our inner ear fluids or the magnetite in our brains, but it's our entire nervous system.
It's our entire body
that's
in
responding,
one form or another.
Right, to the vortex effect.
Yep, exactly.
I wonder for like emotional healing, what's a better site to go to do your inner work? Probably an inflow site, right?
Well, when you're to do inner work, I always tell people when they come to visit Sedona, what you bring to Sedona emotionally, let's call it baggage, whatever you bring here, Sedona will amplify it, and that's an ideal time for you to put it. It brings it all to the surface. Whatever's deep inside of you, it brings it all to the surface so you can put it on a plate, take a look at it, go to an outflowing vortex site, project that negativity or whatever it is, trauma, doesn't matter, project that up into the universe. Get rid of it. You can remove it and get it out of you. Now, when you're trying to discover exactly what's going on internally that makes you feel bad or makes you feel anxiety, sit in an inflow, because that will let you go within to see what's bothering you internally, be it trauma, be it stress, be it anxiety, be it whatever. My point, both inflowing and outflowing, the inflow lets you do the work, the outflow helps you get rid of it, but in the same token, if you're in an inflow and some of that negativity you want to get rid of comes up to the surface and you acknowledge it, you can allow it to be pulled out of you and taken into the earth. The earth itself will take your anxiety, your stress, your trauma, whatever it is, and absorb it. So you can do so much with inflowing vortex energy and outflow. You can either send anxiety up into the sky, into the universe, and let the universe absorb it, or you could go to an inflow, relax, and let the inflow pull it out of you and into the earth itself.
For me, I honestly prefer, and it's just a natural occurrence, I prefer being in an inflow site for releasing negative energy, because I feel it going down through my spinal column, out my tailbone, and deep into the earth, and like I'm growing these roots. It seriously feels like my solar plexus, my nervous system is growing roots down into the earth, and I feel these things surfacing for a minute. I feel it, like I sense it, that ouch, and then it just sucks right out.
It releases.
You feel it for a minute, so you know it's coming out of some kind of subconscious place. Mm-hmm. It surfaces, you're made aware of it, and then it releases and neutralizes deep within the earth. When I'm in an outflow, I feel more like communicating with, the gods, with source itself. I feel more like, I'm able to receive a transmission from, my cosmic family or from God itself.
Exactly.
I feel like it's more like a connection, to other realms, to other dimensions, whereas an inflow site is more a place to ground and just deal with your own shit. To put it in a nutshell, exactly like you said, being in an inflow helps you connect to Mother Earth. Being in an outflow helps you connect to Source up in the sky or the center of the universe. So you have the best of both worlds here. You could connect to Mom Earth in an inflow. It's a very nurturing feeling, by the way. Not only do you get relaxed, you feel protected. Yeah, you feel like a tight hug.
Yeah.
A tight, warm, loving hug. And especially in an inflow site for me. Like, I feel like I'm being hugged by Mother Earth.
Yep, exactly. And that's the same thing I feel, although after doing this for 24 years, it puts me to sleep real easy. I get very relaxed very fast. And being in the outflow connects you to Source. Like I said, you can project whatever's bothering you up into the universe and let the universe absorb it. But being in an outflow is also a very, very good location to do work as above, so below. You can do work above with Source, or you can do work with Mother Earth below in the inflow. It's a real nice balance. You have both happening up here. So you can cleanse, you can balance, you can release. It's a phenomenal place. Just phenomenal.